Hey everyone, welcome back to Adobe Live, streaming from the Adobe 99U conference. Very cool. You might notice that the background looks a little bit different. We are on the road. Super cool. In chat, we're going to be streaming all kinds of talks and streams for today and also tomorrow during the conference. I have my new friend Elena Miska here with me. Hi Elena, welcome.
Thank you.
So this is not your first time.
No, I was here a couple years ago actually.
Yes,
yeah.
So you've done Adobe Live, you've done 99U, you're like a total pro. You should be hosting me probably. Could be. Hello ladies, says Voodoo Val. Hello Alberto, Heidi. Hello, hello. If you're joining us in the chat, say hi, give Elena your best as we start jumping into her adventure as a designer, branding expert, all kinds of good stuff. She says, or Ryan says, what's life like as a freelancer? We're going to jump all into what it's like to be a designer, all that good stuff.
Yeah, ask me all of your questions, although I'm no longer freelance, so.
Right, that's a story in and of itself. So we'll be here live with Elena for the next about hour, followed up by Hexagon, which is an awesome UI company focusing on women and non-binary folks, which is really, really cool. You can see the schedule going on behind us right now. And then after that, we will have the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Jesus Ramirez streaming from California. So we're going to jump back to the Pacific time zone for a bit. And then we're going to finish up the day with one of my favorite designers, Meg Lewis, for designing your career and all kinds of good stuff like that. Make sure you stick around. It's going to be so cool. We've got so many people saying hello.
Hi.
Hi, hi, hi.
So happy to be here.
Yay. So maybe you can introduce yourself briefly for people who might not have caught your previous streams.
Absolutely. So hello everyone, my name is Elena Miska. I am a designer and art director based here in New York City. I'm actually from California, so
we're like swapping.
Yeah, exactly. Sonoma County, San Francisco used to be my old stomping ground, but I've been here for the past 4 years almost.
Very cool.
And yeah, I have a background in branding, editorial design, photo art direction, so what I do now is kind of all of those things.
Yes.
I love jobs that I can do all of those things in, and yeah, I have a whole mix of things to share, some freelance stuff, some past work, some stuff I'm currently doing, so we can get right into that.
Very cool. So we have Elena's website pulled up. It's just elenamiska.com if you want to follow along with us. Very cool. And as you can see, lots of beautiful branding, editorial design, photo art direction, goodness going on. You said you wanted to jump into this one first, right?
Yeah, so Zen Zine is actually a really special project to me because it's something that I did with Adobe Live 2 years ago now. So I came to San Francisco for a 3-day Adobe Live. What is it, 2 hours a day for 3 days?
Yeah, it's a lot.
This is something that I think last time I was here, I had finished this, but I didn't have all of these photos to share. So it was something that this project stemmed from me doing just little doodles and art projects as a way to kind of decompress. Non-client related, I think that it's really great to in order to stay fresh and inspired in your actual day-to-day work, your client work, it's good to just do things for yourself, and it keeps you sharp, it keeps you motivated. And so I was just doing these things purely for myself, really no rules. And when Adobe came to me and said, do you want to do this? I thought it was the perfect opportunity to kind of give all these pieces a home and create a zine because it just seemed fitting that you know, these were doodles, they're not works of art, and I wanted to create something that was a little bit more impermanent and, you know, not something like a book or a magazine, but it was really, really fun to do. So the first day I, you know, laid out basically the zine. The second day I worked on the word mark, the actual Zen Zine logo mark, which
very cool.
is totally custom. And then the third day kind of wrapped it all up, made it into, basically a print-ready file. And then after the 3 days, got it printed, and this is kind of the result of that.
So these are real photographs of the actual
it's a
prints.
real thing.
Wow.
So
no mock-ups here, people.
Yeah, no mock-ups.
Wow.
And it's just a fun way, to, I think sometimes, with personal work, it can stay personal. No one needs to see it. I wasn't really intending for anyone to see these things because they were just for myself.
Right.
But it was just a really great way to kind of further that expression of, what can this be now?
Right. Was there any hesitance when you're going to share these little things that you were just making to decompress? Like you were almost sharing some secret part of you? Or was it more just things don't mean anything?
I think it was because they came from a place of no constraints and doing whatever I wanted, I wanted to carry that into actually designing the zine. And it's for projects like this, if at any point I get stressed out, it's not meant to be about that. I stop, I take a step back, and I think, you can also carry that into other work. It's, if something is stressing you out, or even in life, maybe reevaluate it, see if there's some other way to do it, and obviously that's not true for everything,
Yes.
Obviously 9 to 5, if something's stressful, you gotta deal with it. But I
do what you gotta do.
Comes down to personal work. If you're not happy making it, don't do it.
That's very true. Nice. Somebody says, I need to take a page from her book. Nice job, Noelle. That was a good one. That's a good question. RQE is wondering, how would you approach a firm that does not think that they need a new identity system, but you want to convince them that they would benefit from new design? Have you ever done that?
I guess it depends, if you're working for a studio or agency, or if it's something that, you're reaching out to that firm from a freelance perspective. I think, it's great to, pitch work if there's something that you're passionate about and you have an idea and you want to, allocate time to that, whether it's personal time or you're allowed to allocate some work time to that. I think it's always great to lead by example and, without giving away work for free necessarily.
Totally.
So if that's something that you're passionate about, I think show them versus telling them.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
Yeah, put a little work in up front. And really let them know how they would benefit.
Yes.
Why would they spend money on this when they don't think that they need to?
Exactly. I feel like half of design is often business. It's things that you don't see, the stuff that happens behind closed doors that is equally important.
Totally. We've got one of our other friends, Marta Caro, hanging out with us. What's up,
Hi.
Marta? Good to see you. I think friend of yours, friend of mine, hosted her on Adobe Live. Super cool. If you want to check out her work, click on her little face.
Amazingly talented designer and art director. Go check out Marta.
I agree. Agreed. Cool. But that was a great question, Arqui. Thank you for asking that. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. I feel like you have a pretty varied experience. So you could probably touch on a lot of things. And no, we will not be talking about Photoshop on the iPad any longer, but feel free to watch the replay of the last stream if you'd like to learn more about that. She says hello. So are these stickers real stickers too?
Yeah, everything is real.
Wow.
I went all out.
Man, what is the purpose of really being authentic with your the stories you're telling with all these mock-ups? You could have just downloaded a mock-up and plastered some stuff on there, but how does this make it more valuable?
I think part of it was the reason I wanted to do a zine versus putting creating a website for these to live on was that these are physical, tactile pieces. They are ink, they are paint, they are collage paper, they're all physical things. So to create another physical thing that they could live in was something that, I don't know, it just had personal importance to me to be, and I love print too. I mean,
yes, that paper.
I know we live in a very digital age, and that's great, and save the trees, but I think for something like this, it just made perfect sense in my mind to let these tactile things live in a tactile environment.
Yeah, definitely. And a way of thinking about sustainability in that way is making things with a purpose and not just mass producing things. So this is obviously very purposeful. Put a lot of love into that. Very cool. Diogo wants to know, do you remember what typeface you used for this project, the condensed one?
Oh my God.
Would that be this?
People are gonna kill me. I actually don't remember. I did this like 2 years ago, and I know I should know this, but I probably like blocked most of this out.
You know,
of my
Chad,
memory.
you should take a screenshot of this and then use Adobe Capture and find the font with it.
The serif is really beautiful. It's from Letters from Sweden. I don't know how to pronounce it. Excel. Yeah. There's like the fonts from a bunch of different foundries, and I think one of them might have actually been from Adobe Fonts too.
There you go. Yeah, Adobe Fonts has thousands of typefaces, and if you can't find this exact one, if you have a CC subscription, I'm sure you could find a different one that is pretty similar. Yeah, it is capture time. Nice. What's up, Faisal? Good to see you. Cool. So maybe we could talk a little bit too just about your journey as a designer.
Yeah.
Like, did you always know that this is what you wanted to do?
Definitely not.
No?
I came from a very, where I grew up, my household, very artistic. My mother is a fine artist. My dad is super creative. A lot of it, you know, more hands-on though, like woodworking and instrument building.
Casual.
Check out our Miska ukuleles. He builds beautiful ukuleles.
That's so cool.
My mom, Deborah Garber, is a fine artist, and so I had this upbringing that's like, you know, you just create, you make, and it was just a free space. So I'm very fortunate in that respect, and I think, you know, I didn't know what graphic design was for a very long time, basically until I enrolled in school. And I had always loved art, and I think the art that I was drawn to was very graphic.
Yes.
And bold and colorful, and I think that when I then ended up going into design school, I, you know, took from what I knew, and I think that, you know, kind of informed, you know, some of what I do. So it's for client work, you know, you follow the brief, and that's what you need to do and give the client the visual system that they need. But if I'm doing personal work, I think a lot of it has that kind of graphic quality to it, even though it's not necessarily like graphic design.
No, yeah.
So
I think it's very shape-based.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so after school, I actually got a job as an art director at a small magazine in San Francisco. It was the founder and publisher from larger magazines that had been based in New York.
Oh, cool.
And I remember getting this job and taking it, and I was super, you know, I was excited, I was scared, and I didn't really know what an art director did.
Oops.
But I was like, I can make it work. And I think, you know, there is something to be said for learning certain things on the job and having great people that surround you that are willing to teach you. So and this was, you know, more editorial art direction. It wasn't campaign art direction, which is more what I do now.
Okay.
I mean, I do both now, but it kind of let me get on this path of doing, like learning on the job how to do art direction, and also how to do editorial design, how to do brand identity. Brand identity was more something that I'd learned in school, so I felt really comfortable with it. But the other aspects of it, it's kind of just like, well, you're thrown into it, you figure it out, and that's, you know, kind of the best way to learn sometimes. So I, since then, had been in an advertising agency. I was at like a mid-sized creative studio. I then went to Milk Makeup when I moved to New York, and came on right after they'd launched as their art director, so working on all their campaigns, which was really, really fun. I stayed there for a year and a half, and then I went freelance for a bit. I'm giving you like my whole story.
We're gonna drill down into it, I'm sure.
And then my freelance stint didn't last super long, because then I was offered a job at Rowan Co. Studio, which is a small branding and art direction studio based here in New York City, founded by Rowan Adams. She founded it a little bit over a decade ago. So I am an art director there, and it's really, really incredible because the clients that that come to us are just amazing, and I think it's nice to get to work on projects there, because I still, you know, do have some freelance clients or personal work on the side outside of my 9 to 5, but it's a really great place to be right now.
Yeah, you can feel good spending those 9 to 5 hours working on what you're working on.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you said that you had been a big fan too of the owner of the company too. So I bet it was really exciting.
Yeah,
when you got offered a job.
I mean, when I was in school, or it was, I think, my first internship, I remember my friend and I just being obsessed with Roanne Adams and thinking she's like the superstar. She's this female founder, founded her own company, has like these amazing fashion, beauty, startup, culturally relevant brands coming to her, and she's creating these beautiful identity systems and more for them. And so I'd always looked up to her. And so it was really, really incredible when she got in touch with me about 1.5 years ago.
Can't imagine.
Kind of a dream come true. So it's that's why I stopped my freelance stint.
Your very short freelance stint. Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing at all. So what do you think led to the fact that now you're able to work with one of your design heroes? Was it you just put in the hours initially and you had awesome work? Did you have connections? How would you recommend going about something like that?
I think in terms of work, well, sometimes like attracts like, and at various jobs you're not always going to be putting out the type of work that you want to necessarily, you're not going to be doing the work that you want to show necessarily.
Yes.
So, sometimes it's taking on, if you have time, freelance clients that you feel like align with your values and your what you want to do more of, and sometimes it's doing personal work. So it's really, I had these layers of things that I'd been doing, again, brand identity, photo art direction, editorial design, and those were all things that I think combined, aligned with, what Row & Co was looking for at the time.
Yeah. So it was like magic, but you also had the work and you had the feeling. And I'm betting, since you're so inspired by her design, that also crept its way into your own work. No wonder that they were attracted to your work.
It was funny because I always thought that it was so different from my own work, and I was actually really, really surprised when she got in touch with me. But it's worked out.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
I love it there. I feel very fortunate though to work in such an incredible studio, and it obviously all these projects that I work on, it takes a village, and so we have an incredible managing director who has a strategy background who helps hugely in the just day to day and being an incredible mentor to the team. So I do feel fortunate to work in that environment.
Wow, that's awesome. Let's see, Infinite Breakfast is asking, how did you deal with lulls and finding work as a freelancer? Was that something that you dealt with?
Well, I was only technically a freelancer for 6 months.
No time for lulls.
And for those months I was freelancing at a design studio called Collins here in New York City, which they're amazing. So I did in that time take on a freelance client with my very good friend and sometimes collaborator, Victoria Herrera. We can actually talk about one of those projects next if you want,
totally.
Because that was something that there was a little mini lull, and then these two women, these new founders of this product, reached out to the two of us and wanted to know if we wanted to do the identity and web design for their new product, and we got really excited about it.
Yeah.
So that was something that ended up being like a year-long freelance project on top of, by then I had already taken the job at Row & Co. So this project launched the very end of last year, so a few months ago, but I can talk about it if it's helpful.
Is that Dipsy?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And Ryan is wondering, did you take the Adobe Creative Types test? Have you heard of that?
Oh.
Sounds like a personality test.
I did. My whole office took it.
What are you? There were a lot. I think I was a dreamer.
What was I? I would remember if I saw it. It was so much fun. Everyone in the office was like doing it and posting what they got on Slack.
That's so
and
cool.
it was
I
really,
think that's
really
what
fun.
they did too. That's awesome. It's a really awesome test, and it's beautifully animated. So
it's gorgeous.
Check out that.
I highly recommend everyone does that.
Oh, cool. Carrie's also a dreamer. Nice. Oh, Voodoo Val's a dreamer too. Yay. Ryan's the artist. Heidi's the thinker. Maybe this will remind you.
I
The maker?
Oh, I think I was the explorer. Is that a thing?
Or explorer or adventurer?
Oh,
I forget
adventurer.
which one it was.
I don't remember it. One of those.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Nice. Very cool. What's up, Stefan? Good to see you. All right, so we're on Dipsy right now.
So Dipsy, these two female founders from San Francisco, again, approached myself and Victoria Herrera. They were building this platform for women it's audio erotica. It's essentially an app with stories, audio stories, kind of just like modernizing what a traditional romance novel might be, which sounds funny but it's like a huge market.
It's a huge market.
It's a huge market.
Yeah.
And the stuff that's out there, I mean, I didn't know anything about it until we started this project, but it's there's nothing out there like it. It's, these really dated romance novels that, you might find on Audible, and they're just read aloud in a very dry voice.
Yes.
And it's like, if you're listening to something sexy, you kind of want it to be a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, a little personality.
Yeah, so were amazing clients because they had an idea of what they wanted. One of them was an engineer, one of them was a strategist. They quit their day jobs to start this, so they were really, really committed, and they knew that they wanted something bold that didn't follow the traditional kind of millennial startup tropes.
Yes.
Like, they're like, we don't want millennial pink.
No
it's like,
pink.
okay, no problem.
We'll do magenta.
Yeah, magenta instead. And they knew that they wanted illustration work to represent the stories, because obviously, it would be very different if we were to use photography to represent the stories, since they are intimate in subject matter. And also, just to make it, like, to destigmatize this, I think it's really, they wanted something that, whether you were using it at home, the app, or listening to it on the subway, wherever you were, it's not something to be ashamed about. And so Victoria and I spent the past year doing everything from the brand identity, the website, key app pages. I did a set of the initial illustrations.
I was wondering who did the illustrations.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I think it worked because it was a really collaborative process with the clients, and because of their strong vision, there was no butting heads. There was, we love what you're doing, they trusted us, or we built that trust, and it ended up being a really incredible experience. And obviously, like, with the identity itself, it was actually inspired by their kind of beta audio tracks that they shared with us when we were starting the projects, which are different from anything else because they're very immersive. So if it's set at the beach, you're hearing the waves or the wind rustling in the leaves, and so using that layered sound design to really inform the identity itself.
Right. Wow. So there's so much thought that goes into every part of this. Yeah. Which I'm sure for the people using it feels like they're really being catered to and, like, understood and cared for.
And even thinking about it as a broad system, like, if you're going to use illustration work as your means of conveying what the story's about, how do you create a system that allows for a bunch of different illustrators to, create artwork for the brand that still feels cohesive? So we ended up creating this whole, illustrator brief that was like, you can use these 6 colors in these ways, and that really allowed for Dipsy to reach out to a ton of different illustrators, whenever they need, and say, hey, here's the brief, use these colors. And you can see, like, even now, I'm signed up to their newsletter, and every week I get, their update with new stories, and it's really cool to see these new illustrators creating things that feel on brand because of the color palette.
Right. I'd love to see what styles the illustrators are using. Like, are they similar? Are they super disparate?
Some of them are similar, and some of them are quite different, but I think it's so interesting that they all feel like part of one brand. Yeah.
Way to go, choosing a good color palette. It's awesome. Let's see, Mario is wondering, they're a recent graduate and they're wondering the best steps towards shaping up a resume. This is coming from someone who has no experience in the field yet. And Mario, I'm guessing you're hoping to go into design?
Let's see.
Graphic design?
Graduate. I mean, I think internships are hugely important,
Yes.
and I know it's that time of year when everyone is hiring interns. You obviously have to have work to share with a potential employer. So again, just going back to, if you don't have any work to show, maybe you can create some personal work that reflects your style, what you like, because you will need work to show to get an internship.
Yeah.
But whether it's schoolwork, personal work, whatever, I think that internships are hugely important. I had 2 of them before I ever got my first job, and so there's just so much to learn, and it's kind of like your foundational, the building blocks for the rest of your career.
Yeah, I agree. And especially as someone who's recently graduated, I don't think you should be scared of failing, because it's likely that people are going to say no at first. Like, I don't even know how many applications I sent out for internships and first jobs out of school.
Oh, yeah. And it's good to
got a
get
lot of
that.
no's.
Yeah, you need to have the no's in order to get better and shape what you do have.
Right, and if you do get that no, they could let you know why and what might be missing from your resume or portfolio, so that you can own it next time.
Yeah, and it's good to ask questions like, okay, if I didn't get this, what I could have done better. And obviously every studio is looking for something else, but if you find one that you feel like you align with, why not ask them what you could do better?
Yeah, definitely. Mario, I'm wishing you the best, and I'm curious what kind of work that you're hoping to get. Specifically graphic design, like you said, or like art direction, editorial.
It's broad. The field is very broad.
Yeah, you could almost do anything.
Yeah.
Suleiman is wondering, with design being so broad these days, how and what do you focus to work on? How do you choose?
I mean, sometimes you don't need to. It's good to be specific enough, I think, that you can hone in on your skills and your craft, whatever that is within the field. I personally, I do love a bunch of things. I love doing art direction. I love doing brand identity work. I love doing editorial design, and then even my own personal little art projects. So I think those can actually, if you have a bunch of things that you love doing, maybe there's ways to mesh them. I don't think things necessarily live very siloed, and you can always use those things to your advantage. So I would say, if you're really passionate about one thing, you can find jobs that let you be a specialist, or you can be more of a generalist, and there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, I think design's an awesome field for if you just like to solve problems and think about stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if you like that, then you could pretty much fit into anything. It's just the execution that's different.
Always up for a challenge.
Yeah, always got to learn something, make it look good.
Yes.
Super cool. Awesome questions, everyone.
Yeah.
If you have more, please
Keep them coming.
feel free to ask. Ooh, it's time for Chat and Win.
Yay!
Very exciting. So, chat, we're going to be giving away an awesome sticker set from Tattly. If you don't know what Tattly is, it's super cool. Artist-made temporary tattoos. They have so many different sets, different guest artists coming in to make designs. So that is the set that we're going to be giving away. And the way that you can enter is you're going to answer a question in chat. We'll pick a winner randomly. Is there something that you want to know about the people watching? Like if they are artists?
I would love to hear what people are doing. Again, this is so broad. I feel like there's probably so many different people doing different things. So definitely, tell me what you do. Are you a graphic designer? Are you a photographer? Are you still in school, not sure what you're doing?
Yeah.
I would love to hear it.
Yeah, no answer is wrong. We'll be back in a moment. All right, everyone, we're back and we are ready to hear how you consider yourself. You need to take that creative personality type quiz too, and let us know what that is for you. Let's see, Jessica is a graphic designer in federal government.
Amazing.
Ooh, Wendy is building her portfolio in MoGraph. Super cool. Graphic designer in post-grad school. Hello. Arqui says, I want to design one of those tattoos. You could.
Yeah, you could.
Definitely. I think they hire like people to do kind of packages, but you can make them yourself too. Destiny Simmons. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Destiny, I think, just joined the chat right on time to win this. Super cool. Congratulations. You have just won the awesome tattoo pack from Tattly. Keep an eye on your Behance messages because the Adobe Live team will be in touch with you soon, and we'll get those shipped over to you as soon as possible. Very cool.
Yeah.
Ooh, Ricardo is a fashion graphic designer.
Ooh, fun.
Love that. Very cool. So I'm seeing a lot of graphic design.
I guess that is what
Makes
we're here
sense,
for a little
makes
bit.
Let's
Congrats, Destiny.
Uh-huh. Just about everything else creative, says Marissa. Very cool.
Hi, Will.
What's up, Will? Good to see you.
So speaking of internships, Will was, I think, a senior designer when I was an intern at my internship, and it's really fun to stay in touch with people.
Yeah, right. Isn't it funny? I kind of still consider myself an intern, even though I was one like 5 years ago.
Well, you're still always learning, right?
Yes,
I mean,
it's so true.
Yeah.
If that's kind of your first experience in the industry, you kind of always feel like a student.
Yeah.
I think so.
Amazing.
Wait, Richard, are you designing computers and swimming pools? Very cool. That's amazing.
Told you, broad.
Yes, I love hearing like the very specific things people work on. Even like your dad making ukuleles, like
Yeah.
so cool.
Yep, everyone has their own creative outlets, and that's one of them.
Yeah, embrace them. Mario wants to know, how do you ask for an internship if the company doesn't have them listed in their website?
I always think it's good to, I think sometimes emails get lost. Oftentimes when
Yes.
people apply to the, like hello at blah, 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 designstudio.com.
It's gone.
So yeah, it ends up in one. I mean, sometimes people do respond to them, and that's
Yeah.
amazing. But it's always good to try and find email addresses and send personal emails, and not just like a hi there, but hi, Sarah, and make it personal. Like don't just do a copy and paste. Like tell people why you want to work, where you why are you applying to that position, because it's probably a different reason than why you might be applying somewhere else. So
Yeah, it's a
just
good point.
email, make it personal, tell them why you should be there.
Yeah, it's the same as someone asked earlier, how would I offer up a project when they're not asking for work? It's the same thing, like why would they want you to be their intern? Especially if they're not posting publicly that they need an intern, you kind of have to make a case for yourself. And say I would add this much positivity to your company in this way.
My dog just got some love.
What?
Ace. Shout out to Ace.
We have to talk about your dog now, obviously. Tell me the story. Is Ace also a graphic designer?
Yeah, he's a creative director.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
Yeah.
He's the boss of me and my husband.
He's like, no.
Yeah, he tells us what to do.
He's a hovering art director.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What kind of dog is he?
He's a French bulldog. Little squat piglet.
So cute. He's in this city. I need to go see him right now.
Yeah, he's somewhere in Brooklyn right now.
Amazing. Super cool. Destiny says just give them a call and follow up with an email maybe, like asking how to get an internship. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be a little, at least in my experience, getting a call from someone you don't know, it can be a little like catching people off guard, but I've also heard the opposite, that it gives people a really strong first impression of you.
It's just hard. I feel like I'm trying to think if my studio even has a landline.
That's true.
That sounds horrible. It does, but emails are a good way to go, especially if you attach, your portfolio or some work samples or a PDF.
Yeah.
So, just something visual along with a written, why you should be there.
Yeah, probably not anything too long.
Yeah.
Like enough,
Keep
but
it
not
concise.
pages. Yes, right, because they are busy people, art directors. busy. You're just saying that you have a lot on your plate right now at work. It's all good stuff, but it's busy stuff.
Yeah, always multiple projects, always varied, and I think that's great. Like it's fun to have multiple things going on at once, because sometimes you don't want to get stagnant doing one thing. So
yeah, super true. Chat, let us know how you find yourself getting out of creative ruts. Do you move on to something else? Do you think about things differently? Give yourself a new project to worry about, like an art director. Let us know. Very cool.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of time left. Chat, if
Amazing.
you have more questions, please feel free to send them over. And we have a couple more projects that we can take a peek at as well. Is there one that you want to jump into?
Yeah, let's scroll a little bit. Cool. I mean, I can do the tasselry.
Tasselry. It's a fun word. Tasselry.
Yeah. So this is a jewelry brand out of Australia, making specifically like these gold tasseled earrings.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, and it was a super open brief, which sometimes is actually harder.
I 100% agree.
You sometimes need that structure in order to, at least I do. I think a lot of creatives do.
No, they're like, just be yourself, and you're
like, I don't know what
you don't want that.
But yeah, so it was creating an identity system for this brand. And it was fun because since there was just this one specific style that varied in color, I ended up creating a logo mark that was reminiscent of these kind of long, thin earrings, and also did a photo shoot, did the prop styling. It was just super, super fun. Like, went to the flower market one day early in the morning on a weekend and knew that I wanted to have this concept where it's almost like creating personalities with flowers around these earrings. And so drew up, spent the week drawing up these various formations of how I wanted it to look, because obviously you don't just start a shoot by going in and being like, hey, what should I do? There's a lot of prep work involved, whether it's, drawing things up or there's so much. In this situation, it was small, so there wasn't necessarily a brief to other team members, but so part of that was creating like the idea ahead of time, and then on the day of the shoot, everything can go smoothly because you're just kind of putting things together.
Just executing.
Just executing. So it was really fun.
Those are so beautiful.
Yeah, to kind of take that identity that I'd already done and then translate it with the earrings into these still lifes to show off the product.
Wow.
So
was that something that the company asked, like we specifically want this floral element, or was that kind of your pitch?
It was all really open. They're these feminine earrings that are, they're elegant, but they're fun. So they wanted to have that elegant quality, but give it a little bit of pizzazz. So I think it was really just another, because of the open brief, concepting, well, what can I do to show off the personality, since the only difference in the earrings is the color of the tassels. So yeah, really, really fun project, like a quick one. That, again, it's fun to be able to do multiple parts of it. So the brand identity and the photo art direction. And
Right. Did you dip these in gold, or did you
I got them like that.
Okay, I was like, that is spray paint. I can imagine you on a fire escape spray painting some leaves.
I've definitely been there.
I
own a lot of various types of paint.
Amazing. Someone was asking before we keep talking about this, is it important to build your own style because they find themselves dabbling in a bunch of different directions?
I mean, I've heard, both sides of, like, some people are like, you shouldn't have a personal style because you need to be able to just do whatever you need to do for your clients.
Yes.
And I fully agree that you need to do what's best for your clients, but at the same time, sometimes it's a little bit unavoidable to, you just end up working for years and you like what you like and your influences are your influences. Everyone has their own. So you're inevitably going to kind of probably build up a personal style, and for personal work, that's great. I think that there's zero harm in that. And then for client work, you just need to be able to let that go. Maybe there are some influences that you can use for that, but a great part about working, whether it's freelance clients or at Rowan Co., you kind of set that aside and do what's best for the projects, because some of them are tech and some of them are fashion, and so, it's a broad range. So yeah, definitely. But I don't think there's harm in like cultivating a personal style. It's just knowing when you can and can't put that to work.
Right, and being able to let go of it if you need to.
Yeah.
But I think like everyone's hand makes a line a different way. Like there's some unavoidance to having your work look like your work.
I think it's nice. I think there's nothing wrong with it. So
There you go. That's the answer.
And I can probably show like one more project if we have time. There's
Totes.
something, so we've done brand identity, we've done personal editorial work. So I feel like we can probably, I haven't shown anything from Row & Co yet, so this Saqqara project is something that just launched a couple months ago in January. So yeah, brand new. And so Saqqara is a wellness brand based here in New York. They basically have chefs that create these amazing plant-based organic meals, and they deliver them to your door. So it takes out all the, fuss out of like healthy eating.
Yes. Sounds bougie, but great.
It's bougie, but it is great. And, so they had never done a traditional like advertising campaign before. So they came to us, they're like, we want to make an impact. We're going to be launching this like kind of New Year's campaign in January, and like, what do we do? So working with Rowan Adams, the founder of Row & Co Studio, and Rebecca Angus Smith, the strategy director and managing director, and my lovely account manager who like keeps my life together there, Mary Witt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Witt.
It's a collaboration amongst the company, the studio, with the client. So hearing what they need, and we ended up, taking these inspirations, coming up with this concept of no sacrifices, because I think, with a traditional diet, the first thing that comes to mind are the sacrifices that you have to make, whether it's, the stuff that you love eating or like the time spent having to like make this weird food. So I think, it was a really strong concept about you don't need to make sacrifices with Saqqara because it's all there for you and it's healthy eating. And also they're like, if you want pizza or a cocktail or whatever, like don't limit yourself. As long as you're eating a lot of these good things, you don't have to limit necessarily sacrifice the bad things. So we created this really colorful tablescape for like the primary hero photo. It's the one up at the top. And so the co-founders are the two blonde women on either side of the middle girl. Cool. We created this whole table, really fun to work, with the prop styling, the food stylist. It's like a whole other can of worms.
Seriously, no joke.
It's like fashion meets food meets like what category does this fall into, and then creating these other really beautiful sculptural still lifes. So we ended up taking over this billboard in Soho, covering it with all these really colorful images, and I think it had a big impact because in January in New York it's so bleak and gray, and to see this just extreme pop of color walking down the street or driving by, that it did make people stop, and it was successful for them, and I think it was a fun project to work on, like a solid campaign for a really cool brand. Yeah,
definitely a total breath of fresh air, specifically in the wintertime.
Yes.
And Val was saying that you have a really great eye for composition, and she was wondering, do you find any inspiration anywhere specifically for composition? That beautiful layout.
For composition. I mean, I don't know. I think it like probably stems from some of my more art background prior to going into design, and I can't pinpoint a specific thing, but, and it's hit or miss. Like we took what you see here is the final product. Right. Some compositions are atrocious and you would never show them, and that's why they didn't make the cut. So
you only need one.
Yeah, you only need one. So I think that's a really good question though, because some are hit and some are miss, but in terms of you have to try a bunch of things before you feel like you can get it right.
Yeah, specifically for composition, I feel like your history, specifically in editorial design, is also a good, because like laying things out on a page in a nice way. It's literally just like blocks of information, and you can apply that to anything.
Yeah, and like it is a lot of trial and error, no matter what. If it's doing still life stuff, if it's doing a layout in a magazine, if it's creating a logo, how many not great ones do you do before you do a great one? So
yeah, don't give up.
Don't give up.
There you go, and you will hone that skill. Infinite Breakfast is loving this project.
Thank
you. This is the truth.
Definitely takes a village. This was it was a Rowan Co project, and I cannot take full credit, but it was an incredible team and really collaborative clients.
Yeah, man, how cool to be able to say like you had a big hand in this.
Yeah.
Very awesome. So do you prefer to work with a big team or a small team?
Small team, I would say. I think it's, the more perspectives, the more people you have to cater to, and I think when it's tight-knit, you can really learn the needs of the project and execute on those. So yeah, I feel like a small team is always probably the most helpful.
Yeah, definitely. It's a little more maybe efficient as well. Super cool. Chat, if you have any questions about working on a team project like this or anything, feel free to ask. We've got about 10 minutes left. Maybe we can look through one more project.
Yeah,
there's one
why
more.
Not?
Yeah, I know this is more your new stuff at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I can delve briefly into Milk Makeup, which is what I did right before I went freelance a couple years ago. So this was right when Milk Makeup launched. I'm blanking out on the year now, like I guess 3 years ago. And so I was not responsible for the very first campaign. That was a different, very talented art director.
Yeah.
And they, were creating this really fresh work that I wasn't even into the beauty industry. I was like, I buy drugstore makeup and I wear makeup, but it's not something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And so I was seeing these actually wheat pastings all over Brooklyn. I was like, wow, that's so fresh. Like, I'm just used to seeing the same old, like, crusty beauty campaigns that, like, who do they speak to? So, ended up getting a job there, working really closely with the founders. There are 4 founders of Milk Makeup, and they just had this incredible vision and wanted to create it for, like, real people or people who weren't generally spoken to. So this is just some work from various campaigns that I did at Milk Makeup. This first one was shot by the photographer Collier Shore, who's incredible. So I was responsible there working with the creative director for, finding the photographers, the, makeup, hair, wardrobe, what's the lighting going to look like, how are they going to be posed, what are they going to be doing. It's a lot of pieces that all come together. I think art direction is like a lot of brief writing. It's not all sexy and glamorous. A lot of it's behind a computer, like telling people this is, how it all comes together. So.
Yeah, definitely. You have to, like you said, put all the thought into it beforehand before you actually get to the cool photo shoot.
It's like months of thought and work and being behind
Get some fans.
Being behind a screen before, the 1 or 2 days of the shoot. So.
Yeah, right. That's such the world of being a designer, I feel like. It's like so much blood, sweat, and tears, and it's like, pop, here's my beautiful baby.
Yeah, but it's so exciting. This was such a fun brand to work on because I think they really did kind of change the way that the beauty industry now is. I mean, I think there's like a new beauty brand that pops up like every day now.
Seriously.
But it was so fun. I had a blast working on this.
Yeah, chat, if any of you are Milk Makeup fans, this should be very exciting to you to see a little sneak peek behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And it was fun to work with, also up and coming photographers too, and just like finding people who, we worked with a bunch of different photographers on this, and I love working with people who have a fresh perspective, maybe people who have just graduated. I don't know, like send your work to brands because you never know what'll happen.
Yeah, if it's good and it's yours, then it should be great. So do you think most of the people involved in this project were like local to New York, or was it more of a global kind of thing?
The immediate team was local, but for example, this photographer was based in London. It was this guy whose work I loved, and I don't even think he had any beauty work, but I was like, wow, your work is so technical, but also has this really just this energy to it, this freshness. So we got him to New York from London, but everyone else I think was, for the most part, based in New York. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's such a small world now. It's like you can work with anyone from anywhere.
Very cool. So what about this like spread design, this editorial design? Was that you, or was that more of an extended team working on that aesthetic?
This was actually something that I did for myself.
Oh, nice. All me.
I most of the photos that you will see in this case study, I mean, it's just like the actual photos themselves. They mostly lived, like if you go into a Sephora or an Urban Outfitters, like wherever they sell milk makeup in retail locations, they'll be in those, you know, those displayers that actually sell the makeup. They lived on the Milk Makeup website. So they are for, you know, retail purposes. But yeah, that was just something I was like, I'm gonna create a little layout with them.
And it's very kind of personalized, and you won't find it anywhere else. It's awesome. Ryan is wondering, as an art director and designer, how do you find working with challenging upper management? How do you find speaking the language of people who aren't exactly designers?
That's tricky. I mean, I think sometimes it's just really hard, and I don't know the answer to those like individual situations.
Yeah.
But I have found that working with people sometimes, if they're not necessarily designers, but they are your bosses, sometimes that perspective is actually really good, because they might have a perspective that's potentially more similar to your own clients.
Yes.
Like, you know, we're designers, we're not designing for other designers, hopefully. We're designing for, you know, the people that are paying us, and that's, you know, they need the work that they need. And so I think it's really actually great if they have a valid opinion to offer, to take that in and be like, actually, like, how can I use that to make the work better? I think when I first started out, I was like, oh, like that person is not like a creative director in the design sense, like why should I take that design feedback? And sometimes it is really valid. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone, you know, some, like, each person's situation is completely different, but I think, you know, having conversations, hopefully people, even if you can have a one-on-one with upper management, I know that's not always possible depending on your role or your relationship with them, but for the most part, having an open dialogue is helpful.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think, like you said, just really taking people's opinion with a grain of salt, but also taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Like, don't be so arrogant that you're like, you're not a designer. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
We're all kind of designers. We all see things.
Especially now, like in this day and age, everyone does have an opinion, like designer or otherwise, you know, with the proliferation of stuff on social media and on the internet and wherever, you know, we are all inundated with like seeing design work or whatever type of work, and everyone does have an opinion now. So
very true. And that kind of segues into Destiny's question, wondering if you feel pressured as an art director. Like, do you feel like you have to be constantly doing market research and like seeing what's hot right now, or do you just be yourself and see how it goes?
I mean, in terms of like market research, I work with some really talented strategists at Row & Co, so at the day-to-day job, that kind of do that part, and they build that foundation of like, here's the strategy, so now you have that, you know, to base your work off of, to have it come from a place that's meaningful, that's, you know, has truth in it. And but no, I mean, I don't feel pressure. I think my job is really fun. I feel incredibly fortunate, especially because I get to do a mix of traditional design work and art direction work, and that was always kind of my dream. Like at certain jobs it was only art direction, certain it was only design, and that's great. But I think I found this balance, this equilibrium where I get to kind of do both.
Yeah, and you're like, now I never want to leave.
Yeah.
It's perfect forever. The end. Infinite says everyone has an internet connection, so everyone's a designer. I think they're getting a little hyphy.
At the very least, everyone has an opinion, but you know, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Don't need to look at them.
Yeah, definitely. Voodoo Val says it's the same way that someone who can't sing knows when they're hearing something that's off key. You can have a valid opinion about art even if you don't make it.
That's actually a really good point. Good analogy.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of murky water, so you just have to constantly navigate.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's no harm in being yourself and having your own opinion too, and letting that kind of guide you.
Yeah, definitely. So we just have a couple more minutes left. If you have any last minute questions, chat, please feel free to ask. We're going to be up next with Hexagon talking about the future of UI design. Super cool. And then before we leave, maybe you can let people know where they should find your work.
Yeah, you can find my work at elenamiska.com. I have a Behance that's like Elena Miska, if you Google that. Instagram, Elena_Miska. I do not have a Twitter, sorry. So
no need to be sorry.
The good stuff.
Yeah, just the good stuff.
But yeah, thank you all for joining in. This has been so fun.
Yay,
I love catching up every year.
Yeah,
so
let's do it again next year.
I'll be here.
Cool. Awesome. So everyone go follow Elena on Behance, Instagram, check out her website. Stick around for the next couple minutes. We'll have another stream starting soon, and then day one will almost be over, but we have just a couple more awesome things, including the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge coming up later. So wait for it. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Thank you all.